defensive side?
Right now, it's a good opportunity for some of the young guys to get out of scout team mode and get back into the developmental mode. And these guys right now, we're telling them you're competing for your spring spot, and ultimately how this whole thing's going to shake out next fall. So it's important for them to treat this as not as a competition who's going to be playing, but to look at it as a way of, hey, this is something the coaches are evaluating. And right now, it's a good opportunity for me to see how the guys have progressed from the last time that we really saw them do a lot of work at the end of training camp.
When you look back at the Egg Bowl, what was the difference in that second half?
I think the guys made some plays. When the ball was in the air, I think we made some plays. The fourth down stop was huge. Leo, was at 4th and 1. We tightened up and we cleaned up. We had two miscommunication errors in coverage that are just, they can't happen. We got two players standing right next to each other, and to have a miscommunication there. So I eliminated some calls, and then we just tightened up some of the communication. The guys came out and really played well second half.
I saw Jamal at corner again today. Is that his new home, or where do you see him playing for Buffaloes?
I think Jamal, we got to keep developing him at corner. I think he's got a, I think he can play anywhere in the back end. I think the one play that, the interception in the end zone with his length, that was one of those things that's tough to coach. He had his hands on the ball a little bit earlier in the game, in the middle of the field. We'd love to see him make that play, but I want to keep coming, bringing Jamal along at that corner position, and see if he can't develop into a player that can be a shutdown type of guy.
Where is he in his development as a cornerback?
I think it's still, he's still an infant. He's developed within the season, which that doesn't happen very often, because as you guys know, he missed a substantial amount of camp. He didn't come back until extremely late in camp, and then we moved him from safety to corner. So he's kind of been trial by fire of getting his game reps and some a little bit of good on good, but he hasn't gone through an off season. He hasn't gone through spring ball or training camp of getting that time with Coach Buck.
Who's some of those guys that are redshirting you expect to get a good look at this week that could help next year?
Corey Charles, Errol, Kobe, Trey, C.J. Morgan, a lot of those types of guys. Some of them have been here, obviously in training camp, but that's the next step for them is to kind of, like I said, see where they left off and see where they've progressed to this time, and then we'll get, I don't know how many more. We'll get another, 3 or 4 real solid spring-type practices before we go into game time mode.
Is Cam Dantzler able to go through mixed drills, or is he recovered yet?
I think he's still coming back on from that injury.
You had a lot of intensity in that second half of the Egg Bowl. Have you seen that kind of carry over, maybe since the ball game?
Just in terms of preparation?
Preparation.
Yeah, it's obviously you're not going to be able to get the Egg Bowl, kind of that energy in practice all the time. But the more we play with consistent enthusiasm, the better we're gonna be, and that's something that collectively we have to keep. As coaches, we got to keep learning how to motivate and inspire, which I think it goes underappreciated in college football. How as leaders to inspire and motivate these guys every day to come out and to compete and give them something to work for. So we just got to, those guys, they got to meet us halfway in some of those situations, and we just got to keep playing with good effort every time we come on the field.
You had a couple of seniors in Coleman and Calvin on that outside. Who do you see replacing them next year?
Well, we're right in the middle of recruiting, so some of that will be filled from that area. Marquise has to be a guy that continues to develop. Trevor has played some outside for us. He's played a little more stand-up outside linebacker in the boundary, but he's played both sides. So, we got some guys that we have to continue to develop, and then, obviously the D-line candidates. We have to. We got to develop people that can rush the passer, and we got to recruit people that can rush the passer.
We saw a tip pass by Gary Green, and then Brandon Ryan came with that pick. Is that the defense you've been seeing in practice all year that maybe just hasn't seen the playing field that we haven't seen all year?
What we see on the field, is those guys playing at a high level, and that's why every week when we have our our media talk, it's, sometimes we see great play, and sometimes we see play that it's a head scratcher. And I think I've probably used the word consistency and performance. Consistency of performance every week. And when we do things well, it's the second half of Ole Miss, it's the second half of LSU, it's South Carolina. It's the first half of the season opener. There's stretches that we play excellent football, and there's stretches that we don't play anywhere near that. And that's been the frustration, and that's been the challenge all year of consistency of performance. And I tell the guys, if you can do it one time, what prevents us from doing it multiple times?